Africa, how are you doing? I hope all is well. We are back with the African Youth Pulse 18, and as always, my name is Sebastian. I'm a gracious host, and I am bringing you from Kampala, Uganda. And today we are going to be discussing youth in electoral processes as we look at the annual BSc long. And this weekend, I hope that while we see on this session, I will be able to break down what it means and why young people in Africa all around would be interested in it. But as always, before we, get into it, I also have two amazing guests that will be joining me today. But before we get into it, we need to break it down a little bit and get some music flowing so that it's not so uptight for us during this check-in. Remember that check-in is going to be running from now to 10:30, 10:40 at most. But for now, here is the ULEAD Reloaded song. Enjoy and see you in a bit, in about 2 minutes.
Tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika, tusonga mbele mama Afrika, Afrika,
Kwa favor, Africa. Mwishani wonse. Bonjour. Maman.
from country to country, yeah, we gotta work together. We are leaders now, aiming higher for the better. Together, to make our nations greater, we're sharing to empower. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Yo, listen, together we shape young men and women. With the pillars, with the future, here we are. Let's join together with ability to change communities, with love, with peace, to respond to our need, to call for unity. Africa, hear me cry. Never leave me alone. As I see light in a brighter future, let's join hands for youth and women. Let's join hands for youth and
So you
women.
lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Yeah, vijana wa Afrika wote waungana, vijana vijana kutoka mashariki, magharibi, kaskazini na kusini, hata na kati, twaja pamoja ili tufanye nini?
So you lead, I lead, we lead together. So you lead, I lead, we lead together. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality. We will lead, we will lead. Let your dream be a reality.
Hello, kunjani. Sora chibakaye. Yana. Bravo. Amahoro. Maman.
Thank you. Thank you so much. I have never gotten over that last part of the song that has the different languages coming in. I find it very interesting. But away from that, you are yet again welcome to the African Youth Pulse check-in. As always, I'm Sebastian, and I am coming in from I have realized, I have always said I'm coming in from Kampala, but my home is actually in Wakiso. I figured that out recently, which was an interesting discovery that I have been lying about or miscommunicating about my residence. But for now, I will invite my guests to have a quick introduction of themselves, after which we shall dive into the conversations we are having today. I encourage both of them to have their videos on. I see Daniel is not having his video on, but for now I will. And Jakub has dropped. But I'll start with you, Daniel. Just a quick introduction of yourself and what you do. Daniel? Okay. While Daniel tries to join us, I will get to you, Jakub. Just a quick introduction and what you do before we dive into this conversation.
Good morning, One Young Africa. Good morning, Sebastian. Good morning, ESC. And upon the fact that we are tackling Kenya, on a special note, good morning, Kenya.
I hoped you would
My
say
name,
that in Swahili, but okay.
I can as well do that. Habari ya asubuhi wa Kenya.
Mhm.
Maanja Yakub Musaz is my name, former Lord Mayor contestant. It's the capacity I'm using this morning. I do social activism. I am a photographer. I am an expert in fighting violence extremism.
Mhm.
I have trained, and I also happen to be friends of ESC ambassadors and also friends of One Young Africa. I'll bring it on board as a profession because it has kept me lively for the time we've been together. In as far as ensuring that peace prevails across the continent.
Mhm.
With all due respect, allow me, and with that in my introduction, we shall tackle the business bit of my side the next time we are addressing business issues in as far as One Young Africa is concerned and the ESC ambassadors with platform.
Okay. Oh, Jakub, you didn't tell us where you are tuning in from.
I'm tuning in from Kampala. I came back yesterday. You wanted me to say that I'm still in Nairobi, but I came back yesterday.
Okay, that is interesting. Thank you so much, Jakub. Jakub, like you've heard, has very many portfolios. He didn't mention that he's a philanthropist, but during the COVID pandemic, he's a farmer, so he had to give away a lot of food in Kampala, which was inspiring for a young person to do that. But
then those are two fields, philanthropist and also a farmer.
well, clearly, Yakub has done a big injustice to introducing himself, but he was right that for this focus today, we are having him in capacity of a former political contestant. He was running to be the Lord Mayor of the capital of Kampala. And we all know that leading the Central Business District is a big deal. And for a young person to run for that office, indeed, we need to pick his insight and get his mind as a young person who dared to run for office at such a level. I now will come to you, Daniel. Are you able to hear me now? Daniel? Okay. Let me see what is happening to Daniel. He probably has a few connectivity challenges, But while we wait to get him, Daniel, as soon as you are able to hear us or you are able to communicate, please let me know on our private chat here, and I will be able to get you in. But now, to jump into the gist of this conversation, you guys know that today is the UN Day for Living Together in Peace. And if you didn't know that, well, now you know. So, this day, of course, was put together by the UN General Assembly, and the intention was to always urge people to live together in a united and peaceful way. And I want us to start here. You know, that is it possible for young people to live in an increasingly polarized world like we live in today, where we have all kinds of means to always pick up fights at a moment's notice with the ascent of social media? You know, back in the day, I want to imagine that if, for example, Yakub here pissed me off and I needed to get to him, the time it would take me to move from where I am to where he is, probably that time would have been enough for me to cool off, or for me, to reimagine things and say, it's probably not worth it. But today, with social media, it is so polarized, so much that I just need to pick up my phone and I will fire back, or I will hurt people seriously. And in retaliation, they also pick up the phone and hit back at me. So my question is, with the ascent of social media as young people, can we indeed live in harmony, live in peace, or learn how to control our anger, or how to be slow to anger in such situations? That is food for thought for us today as African Youth Pulsars. Daniel, are you able to hear us now? I see that, Daniel? Okay, Daniel has dropped again, but for now, I just want to make the most of Yakub. I can clearly see that Yakub has restationed his camera for us to have a clear background of what his poster looked like. Very, very humbling, sir. It's not like we had it in doubt that you ran for office. Um, but anyway, jumping into it, Yakub, I want to start with you. And we have already mentioned that out of the very many things that you do, you ran for office. And from your experience as a contestant in a political office, from your experience during your campaign when you ran for Lord Mayor of Kampala, what was the narrative? Was it true that youth are being violent, or did you see it in any way that it was proven that youth are violent in observance of their role in political processes? Did you feel it that, okay, what we have been hearing before is true, and indeed youth are violent during electoral processes? And I know that, for example, you were on ground for the most time of your campaign. I anyway hope that's how campaigns work, that you need to be in the electorate. But I just want to pick your mind on that.
Thank you, Sebastian. You see, violence is a big word to use when you're talking about young people, because this is something that has sparked what you're talking about for quite some time. Whenever you bring two words of a kind in the same statement, it means you are breeding something that at the end of it, you will have to justify your words with violence to that, because violence alone is something big and something bad to that. Once you bring it closer to the word youths or young people, it means they move together. At the end of it, even if young people are not violent as it is put, the fact that whenever we're talking about violence, what comes to your mind is young people, or you've already put it with the minds of the public and the world at that, whenever you're talking about violence, you have to just fight with young people. This gives sense to the fact that it's not a fact, but then it has become a normalcy to the world that these two words have got the same table on which they sit. which is utterly wrong because I subscribe to that group of young people. And I was on ground for 90 days in the period of elections. I want to take you back to the November 3rd events in Kampala, where I was directly seeing tear gas canisters dropping on a vehicle. My window was down, and I remember young people telling me that put your window up because these guys that are putting on uniform that are throwing these canisters and bullets, they can't tell whether you were young people, whether you were a candidate or you were just a mere voter, but they don't discriminate while they are killing us. Put your windows up and drive away, you know? So statements were coming from young people. They never told me that drive us to where the situation is getting worse. You know, I saw them running from that side where bullets were and canisters that where the source of canisters was. They were just running this side. I would have expected young people to still go in that direction of where the bullets were coming from. You know, meaning there is a spirit in which we are regarded as young people. We are used. Yes, we are the biggest fraction of the population, and we are the most vulnerable because we have zero access. If it is very meager access to opportunities because the big men, they have closed doors for us. So upon that vulnerability, we are being used. We can easily be recruited into violent actions. A small fraction of us. We are many, and we can't rule out the fact that some of us is going to be easily compromised upon or on the basis of the factor I've just put up of vulnerability with that comes with unemployment, that comes with poverty and all that. So young people, when we generalize it, we are giving it room to thrive. That they are violent people, you know. So just as old people, some are good. Some have put it to us. They have opened doors for us to live with them, to grab the opportunities. Some have done that, and we can't say that they are utterly bad people for closing doors. Some of them are good. The same applies to young people. Yes, we are a biggest fraction. So once a small sample of us has gone bad, it is regarded to be big because we are the biggest fraction. You get my point? But then we must not generalize it. Whenever we are making such statements, we should categorize these people. Violent young people, not young people being violent.
All right.
You know?
Thank you, Jacob, for that insight. And like I said,
just a second.
yes, yes.
I want to assure you that most of my campaigns were ran in slum areas because I expected my voters to be concentrated there. And I want to tell you, I met young people who were smoking weed, who were boozing from morning to night, but these were the guys I could move with, and I could tell them, hey, my phone is run out of battery. They could tell me, bring it, we go charge it. I sampled it. I gave them my phones. They could go charge it for the whole day. In the evening, they bring it back to me. I never knew these guys. I saw them in campaigns. I met them in campaigns. You know, this is how disciplined these young people were. Whenever, in fact, they are dealing with fellow young people. The problem comes in once you start labeling them from the beginning. And this is the normalcy that these big people are bringing into force, because they tag these people things that are talking about, the violence bit of it, from the beginning, even without working with them.
I worked with these guys for 3 months. They could take my phone, they could handle my money, and they could give me accountability. These are people that need change. Should you come with facts? Should you come with indicators of change? They're going to be collaborative. They're going to work with you. Should you provoke them? And you know the meaning of provocation. You are forced to do something you ought not to do, but you are forced. That's the meaning of provocation. With the labeling bit of it where they say that young people are violent people. That's the beginning of provocation. Personally, I feel offended. Just I don't know how to contain it, but I feel offended once a statement has got two words yoked, young people violence. I feel offended as a young person, you know. If you track my campaigns very well, not even a statement did I bring out to incite my fellow candidates to abuse them or what. But I would have been it is expected of me as a young person if I told the statement was true that young people are violent. But I wasn't, you know. Bobby Wine himself, the noob guy, when you see his statements, they weren't volatile at all. But he was provoked with the security, you know. At the end of it, you are termed violent because you have reacted to the provocation. So the reaction to the provocation can't be justified as violence. Where is it coming from? This is the honest conversation people don't want to go into whenever they're talking about this, because they want to end at the bit of a young person who reacted on the provocation.
All right. Thank you so much, Yakub. And like I said, that it is critical that we have you here because while some of us do not have perspective of actually interacting with young people, and when you say that you are moving with people that would, from an onlooker's eye, look, extremely violent. You say clearly that these were young people that were willing to cooperate, young people that when they saw someone they resonate with, they were happy to, support you and ensure that everything you did was seamless. Albeit, there are challenges in financial living or in their social way of life. I still want to come back to you, and but before that, I want you. Can you hear us now? Daniel, are you able to hear us? Okay. Francis? Great. So Daniel is finally here. Congratulations, Daniel. You have conquered the internet. Talk to.
I've gone round and round again, man. Internet is crazy, man. I had a problem with my browser, audio and video settings, but I've been able to work around it. And then look who is back.
Okay, so you came in when we were already deep into conversation, but I will just let you introduce yourself quickly, and then I will bounce a few questions to you about what we are discussing. And of course, you know that we are discussing about the role of young people in peaceful electoral processes. So Daniel, over to you.
Yeah, thank you so much, my leader from ESC Youth Ambassadors, my good friend Ambassador Sebastian, and my good friend, I know if not interacted before, but maybe this is the first time. So my name is Daniel Buguna from Kajiado County, Kenya, at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, a place called Loitoktok, where we have I can actually see Mount Kilimanjaro from where I'm sitting. So yeah, sure. Yeah, and we walk around around very many programs here, and an organization called the Olive Branch, headed by my good friend and director, Honorable John Parrott. And we work around youth issues, women, and climate change. So that is basically my introduction, shortly because of time.
Thank you so much. So Daniel, now that we have you, I will just dive in. Yakub here is a former contestant to be the Lord Mayor of the city of, and he has been giving us his account of the role young people play in peaceful electoral processes. And out of the very many things he has said, he says that sometimes young people do not, they are dared by people in authority. And this is where I want to bring you in, because I know that you have a history of reporting professionally on incidents like this. And coming from Kenya, I also know that you do have an account of the 2017 and probably the 2007 electoral violence that marred the country. I want to ask you now that does it take silence of one party for us to have peace? And in this perspective is I want again to borrow from where Jacob stopped, saying that in raising our voices for peace and perhaps sometimes comes off futile, because when we stand, even if we are standing peacefully, say to demonstrate or to demand something that is justly something that we deserve, sometimes we are provoked, and this is a word Jacob used. Sometimes we are provoked by overly forceful authorities. And I need to ask you, how best do you feel as young people we can guarantee peace in electoral processes? Should it be that we fall back and be silent, or there is an amicable way of us raising our concerns or supporting those that we want to support and still, facilitating the peaceful electoral process?
Wow, thank you so much, and that's a very good question, because we've had history time and time again repeating violence, and it is time that we take a sit back and redefine ourselves as young people in East Africa and entirely Africa. And in this case, as we approach elections in Kenya, one thing you've asked is about, does it take the silence of one party to attain peace? For me, I think to some extent, no, because you see, peace is not the absence of war, and silence cannot bring about peace. It's about coming out and reasoning with the people in authority, and speaking out. Being vocal as young people, and being vocal does not mean that we. You see, provocation is two-way traffic. We can as well provoke those in power, those in authority, to act, which is more or less not a very good way of promoting peace. So it's about coming out clearly and eloquently to call those in authority that, you know what, it is the youths who are at the very heart of violence in case that comes to place. It is the youths who are at the very heart of every destruction that happens in the presence of force. So it does not necessarily mean that we take a sit back and be silent. It's about coming out eloquently, diplomatically, and calling out those in authority that, you know what, we need peace. That is what we need. You see, elections is not all about profiling people based on their ethnicity, based on their class, based on their economic status. It's about the competition of ideas, and that should be at the very basis of our discussion. Tell them, compete on ideas, and the moment we do that, you will realize that there will be no war and the peace will prevail.
I think, Daniel, your network is unstable. Jacob, can you hear me? All right. I think Daniel's network is it's acting up yet again. Hopefully we get Daniel back. But Jakub, I want to come back to you, and again, this follows. the conversation that Daniel has opened up about us now having young people. And he makes a good argument that sometimes provocation is two-way traffic. Sometimes, yes, it is people in authority that will provoke us, but also sometimes as young people, we are too energetic. We have so many hormones running within us. Sometimes we can be, the provoking factor. And but he makes something critical that when it comes to elections, we need to create an environment where people appreciate and say, okay, look here, what we are going to do is now look at everyone that is standing, and then we are going to weigh them against the principles they are standing for, against the service delivery, against their manifestos, if they are indeed in tandem with what we as young people want or not. And Yakub, I want to come to you with a question, and this question is going to be resonating with the development of the revolution of social media and the internet. That today we do have, you could say, an area where we can don't have to go to a town hall to probably have or issue an opinion on a matter of national importance. Okay, if I have my phone, if I have data, and I probably have access to WhatsApp, Twitter, Facebook, or any social media platform, I can easily, share my view. So in a context like that, I want to ask you, Yakub, because at least you have a background of interacting with voters, but also I want to believe that as a politician, you do value feedback you receive from your voters. Mostly, for example, when you share your manifesto and intentions of delivering in office. So living peacefully in the internet era, and where social media is known to eliminate nuances in conversations, how do we have political conversations on social media that result in understanding and encouragement of young people to understand and care more about politics, about the agenda, about manifestos? How do we guarantee that without someone creating a meme during the conversation or deriving the whole intention of the conversation? Yakub, I will get to you. And I see we have Daniel back. That probably after you're done, Daniel will also have input. Daniel, we were following up on your submission, and now we are checking. In an era of internet where everyone has an opinion they can give, and they can't be censored or limited, how do we guarantee then that we have conversations that speak to the interest of young people? That today, when Yakub is running for Lord Mayor and he says he wants to do 1, 2, 3, 4 things in Kampala, how do we guarantee that that conversation is sustained for young people to have an understanding of the politics or the manifesto of these political actors, without necessarily us coming off as abusive? Or I hope you do get where I'm coming with this. Jacob, over to you.
Thank you, Ivan. And I want to believe the same way with you that social media is powerful of late, very, very powerful medium of communication. I'll give you an example of Nairobi, where I was yesterday. And the conversation right now that is burning that side is to do with the election that is forthcoming. But with the power social media has got, you realize that the information that was in Uganda, Kampala, in the recently concluded elections, you see that whatever they are doing the other side of Kenya, they are making reference to what was happening here in in Uganda. And upon the fact that we are neighbors, this was so impactful that up to date, our neighbors are making reference to the events that took place in Uganda. That's how powerful social media is. Yesterday, while boarding, I hadn't wrapped my package. So I meet this guy at the airport. He's a young person. He tells me, It is 1,000 Kenyan shillings to wrap your package. So I check myself. I have no currency left with me, but the UGX. So I tell this guy, I have 50,000 note. Would you please help me? You'll change it. So he's like, okay, let me see whether they will accept it. My bosses. So in the due course of finding out, I tell him, hey, we have the ESC block. These are things we shouldn't even discuss. You must be very, very flexible. So he tells me, you see, our bosses are still, strict. So I whisper to him that, hey, we have treaties, we have the books that are talking about all this, but then actualizing it is very hard. But then it is our work as young people to come up with a new breed of actualizing whatever we're talking about by our elders that initiated these talks to us, and also pass it on to the next generation. I'm giving you all this insight to give you an omnibus insightful understanding of my answer to your question. So past the years, we've also had talks of freedom of speech, rights to speech and all that. But then actualizing them is a very big problem. It has been a very big problem, where I would come out to demand for your rights, to demand for peace, to demand for whatever you've got to be demanding from your government, because we pay these governments, So if somebody is paying, we expect such people to take initiative to supervise, to check the way you're working. So whatever we do in demand, we are doing it in the name of supervising, checking whether what we are paying for is what we are getting. So of the past years, we've been trying to demand directly, but then we've been labeled as radical people in the way we are demanding. But my word of provocation comes in play there, that I'm provoked by your poor service delivery upon the money I paid you as a service provider. I'm talking about the civil servant, the guys in the public offices. So, in the name of demanding you for your failures to deliver, I'm regarded being provocative. So, what does social media do? Yes, we are paying them, but then we have also bought them guns. The guys in government. So, the fact that they have access to guns and other ammunitions. You see what is happening in Africa today. A young man comes out to challenge taxes, to challenge exorbitant prices in the country. They are arrested. They are battered by police. Escort them to the Speaker of Parliament. If I thought they are going to petition the Speaker, instead of taking them to prison, you can round fence them, take them to the Speaker. They say whatever they want, but you have battered them. You have denied them the opportunity to meet the person they want to petition, and other things that comes with confronting them from being direct, engageful citizens to whoever they've got to demand this service. So social media has given us liberty to say whatever we want, but the worst bit of it comes in when we start abusing each other. Even if we are demanding, we must be respectful on how to do it. But then,
Yakub, I want to come back to you in a bit. And I want to pick on that very topic, Daniel's mind, before we lose him again. Daniel, after you making a prolific introduction around being at the foot of Mount Kilimanjaro, you really need masts of network that side, that side too. However,
it's at the roots of Mount Kilimanjaro.
And I have seen photos from Daniel's office on his Twitter page. Amazing view. I don't think you can get stressed in that office. But Daniel, I want to quickly ask you, and this is also consistent with reports that were released after the 2007 insurgency in Kenya, where it was claimed that it was because of the use of SMSs and the internet that, information that triggered the violence was sent through. And 2007, the internet on our side of the world had not yet developed as it is now, that today one message can go to a million people in an instant, in a push of a button. I want to understand, and Yakub has already told us the benefit of that, that as much as young people may not have had the opportunity to deliberate on matters that affect them, but in the presence of an internet era, they have a platform where they can, speak unabated. But it goes without saying that that same platform can be used to mobilize against peace, that false information can be given on such platforms. So, as an expert in digital platforms, I want to ask you, how do we work to guarantee that young people are knowledgeable or can find a way of verifying information before they act on it? Mostly information that can, be triggering of emotion and violence. I think you're muted. I think you're muted, Daniel. Okay, Yakub, are you able to hear Daniel? I know he's speaking, but I can't hear him. You can hear him. Okay, I honestly can't hear you, Daniel. I don't know whether anyone else can hear him. Yakub, can you hear him? Okay. Yeah, Daniel, I don't think any of us can hear you. Oh no. Still, Daniel, we can't hear you. But I see we have also been joined by another colleague, Dr. Omar. Can you hear me? Okay, someone say something. Yakub
Dr.
say
Umar
something.
is also at the roots of Kilimanjaro.
Evidently. Okay. I think Daniel, it is your internet, which probably has a low bandwidth.
Yes, Sebastian, I can hear you.
Great. You're most welcome. You're most welcome to the conversation. I just want you to give a quick introduction of yourself. And we are discussing the role of young people in peaceful electoral processes. And I also know that I would
I
not
can
use
clearly
the
hear
word.
all of you.
Uh-huh. Okay. The good. Let me see if Daniel, are you back?
Yes, thank you, Sebastian. I meet and suddenly our brother, root of Kilimanjaro, arrived and I lost you.
Okay. No, I was just saying that we could appreciate a quick introduction of yourself. I wanted to say that you are a seasoned politician, but in the presence of Yakub, I don't think that that will be true. But I know that you have also had your fair share of politics. Uh,
We have Daniel smiling.
okay. I cannot believe in 2022 we are being challenged by internet. But Daniel and Umar, I think I don't think that we are able to
Yes,
get you.
thank
Okay. Um, uh, I promise, Daniel, we can see you speak. We can't hear you. this is extremely unfortunate for us. Extremely
And
unfortunate.
interesting. And interesting.
Daniel? Okay. Yeah, I can read your lips. You are saying you are not muted, but we can't hear you, unfortunately. We can't hear you. Anyway, um, uh, I don't know, Daniel. I think you should leave and come back, but I will come back to you, Yakub,
Okay,
and the good doctor.
probably.
Your office looks like it needs more robust connectivity, I guess.
I think I can hear you.
Ah,
I don't know if
great.
you
Now
can
we
hear.
hear you. Yes, now I can hear you.
Yeah. Thank you, Sebastian. My name is Dr. Muhumza Umar. I am also a seasoned politician, but like they said, when my brother is up there, he has stood for Lord Mayor. I was just a guild president in an institution, and probably with his experience and worth, I am nothing to say. Um, but I've also served in spaces of politics, and I've engaged with young people, and I really appreciate the idea that we have young people engaging in making sure we have peaceful elections in the Republic of Kenya. First, I want to thank you, Sebastian, for this opportunity and for making sure this event is alive to the fact that we continue to engage and speak to people on ground and those that have an idea on what it means to engage young people. And mine is just a small contribution that whereas we continue to spearhead the idea of youth participation, it is important for us to appreciate that peace starts with us as individuals, even whereas we are here on spaces, it goes to the family, at community level, and largely to the national level. So each of our impacts should be on how do we impact these individual levels. And from this discussion, what I pick is that youths continue to participate at different levels. That some people participate through social media, some through traditional media. Other youths continue to participate civically by standing, like we have the Lord Mayor. Others continue to influence policy, like my friend from the route of Kilimanjaro. And other people, each of us has a role they play, but in different fields and in our capacities. So for me, it gives me leeway and breadth that young people are good and that they continue to engage themselves. Our next discussion now should be what is the extent of the freedom that these young people seek to perpetrate when they seem to say that they have the freedom to speak. Is it unlimited? Is it, should they continue to express themselves in a way that they feel, or is there a particular limit that requires censorship? These are things that we should have in our subsequent discussions. And I believe what I picked from this discussion, we have had a fruitful morning. It was not my time to speak, but thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. Those that don't know, Omar, in all his modesty, he is also the ESC Youth Ambassador to Uganda that I took over from. So he, during his tenure, he also witnessed some of the partner states having elections, even observed some of those elections. And in a bit, I think we shall pick his mind on what he thinks the role of youth can be in active fostering of electoral processes. Daniel, say something. I hope we have you back. Oh God, we don't. We don't, Daniel. No, we can't hear you, unfortunately. Okay, Daniel, I don't know why we can't hear you, but we unfortunately cannot, and our time is almost fast spent. So I will just come to you, Yakub, and I will ask you one last question, and this is a question to, I think, everyone on the call. You guys know that we are running the One Young ESC for Kenya 2022 campaign, and this is an all ESC youth voice, youth peaceful voice in solidarity for peaceful electoral processes in the Republic of Kenya. This is going to be launched this Friday by the Right Honorable Speaker of the East African Legislative Assembly, Right Honorable Martin Ngoga. And the first question is, have you guys applied to be part of the event? It's going to be a hybrid event. Yakub, have you applied? Because I have just shared the application link in our chat box. So if you have not yet applied, now is a good time to apply. I know that Dr. Omar has been one of the champions in forwarding the application link to young people. But as we conclude, Dr. Omar, I want to ask you one thing. Um, as you are running for guild presidency in the university, and we know that in our region, East Africa, universities have really been a reflection of national politics. That you realize that when our leaders, the Mwalimu Nyerere, the Musevenis of today, were at university, it is their experience and their work as university leaders that reflected into what was the outright leadership of a nation, which means that universities can be used as a small sample space to be a reflection of what national politics will look like. And Dr. Omar, for someone who was on that turf, interacting with young people directly, I want to get your mind on what was the interaction of young people when it came to fostering peaceful elections? Did young people feel interested in ensuring that the electoral process was peaceful, or was chaos one of the means different camps were using to, achieve their means?
Sebastian. You see, participation of youths in political processes at university national level are almost the same. In fact, there is more politics, I think, at university level because you seem to bring forth a party from different ideologies. You also seem to bring people from different backgrounds, and all these people are supposed to buy into your idea of leadership. And this is at
Mhm.
university. And youth participation in those political processes, even at university level, takes on about 5 forms. Either youths as agents of change, and this is if you're talking about the question of peaceful elections, youths and how they engage into formal political processes, because you will look out that you have young people who want to, say, for example, be agents, young people who want to come and stand, say, for example, and they want to be your campaign managers, and you look at the question of involvement. But the bigger question here is, how do you inculcate values of peaceful campaigns? Even at that level, you're looking at how they are participating and why they are participating. The other question of how youths then engage at that level is how youths then move into the question of voting. How do they pass voting? How do they then shape political narratives that are both at university institutional level and at national level? And then you also look out how do they youths at institutional level then buy into the ideology of political parties. So, for example, at the time I stood, I believed in values that power belonged to the people. It still belongs to the people. But then, how do you then buy into this idea that, yes, whereas I buy into this whole idea, how then do I serve students who do not buy into the same ideology? It is a whole cascade of events of how youths participate and how youths then engage into national electoral processes. I don't know if I seem to answer your question.
Yes, but I want to drive directly on away from the ideology of the candidate. What was the feel of young people? Did you confirm that indeed youth can be chaotic, or are youth predominantly people who just want, to participate in the process as peaceful as it can get? Because
Yeah,
Yakub here told us that many a times young people are provoked, and I just want to know whether that is the same experience you had while you were running.
um, thank you for asking about my experience with young people during the election. I'll say by and largely, young people are very peaceful people. That these young people seek to have change, but even whereas they seem to want to have change, they want to have it in a peaceful way. That they feel that processes should be very clear and elaborate. And in the unlikely event that processes are not clear and elaborate, it then triggers this other response of flight or fight in these young people. And given the nature of the volatility of these people, it then sparks what we would call, say, for example, mayhem in an election. But for me, I strongly believe that young people are strongly very peaceful people. For the times I moved with them during the whole process, because you see, this is the whole process from the time you're nominated, the time you have these different debates, the time when you have the vote is cast itself, and even post the election. Whereas there are always instances young people feel disgruntled or they feel a process has not been fair. By and large, they are peaceful people. There are always particular triggers that lead them to act the way they do, and likely event that things will not go the right way.
All right, thank you so much. Our time is fast spent, and I'm just going to ask one closing question. And this is really to indulge your commitment. You know that Kenya is going into its elections, and as young people of the ESC, we are committing to ensuring that we stand with those in Kenya in solidarity, so that we do not have a resurgence of what happened in 2007 or the most recent triggers that we also had in their electoral processes. And to that, I want to ask whether the two of you can each make a small video clip, speaking to young people in Kenya, assuring them that we stand in solidarity with them, and ending it with our hashtag that we are running, Kenya ya Amani, and you will be able to post it. I am holding up check-in tomorrow. I'm hopefully going to be having this series the whole week as we prepare for the launch. And I need your commitment that tomorrow I will be playing your clip before we start the check-in. I will start with you, Yakub. Are you committing to standing in solidarity with Kenya, considering that you were anyway in Nairobi the other day? I'm sure you will appreciate if Nairobi stays the way you left it.
Before I commit myself, there is just one point I picked from Umaru's submission. While I'm using it, I would like to use it as a justification for provocation. Umaru's campaigns were ran on peaceful terms on his side. But as we are finalizing the elections, we are waiting for counting. In fact, it was on. We are sitting in a restaurant nearby the tally centers. Bullets start to whatever to erupt, and we are like, why are they shooting? Because Umaru's University then is closer to the central police station that side. Only to find out that the guy Umar was beating was government leaning. So they come into play as government agencies, the police force, to give account of Umaru's win, who was opposition then. So I hope you see the question of provocation. Guys were arrested, just that we were challenging enough that in the morning we went and called for them out. But then you see the provocation bit of it, So I want to re-echo that it is always provocation from the government agencies that have access to ammunition apparatus that they use to provoke people. Now to the commitment of
I want to ask you that when you are running for office, were you running on government ticket or an opposition ticket?
In fact, it is not opposition ticket. It is the advising ticket, because we are there to advise government on where they are and how they should work. I was
Yes,
on
sir.
the advising ticket, and my campaign, a bit of them, I remember being taken into an office of these young people who were agents of the ruling party. But they told me, much as we are working for the ruling party, we're only working for the big man, the president. But for you, we are rhyming with you because you have our values, you have what we want. And my posters were kept there. In the morning, they could pick them from NRM offices and they go pin them. That's how peaceful young people are. Okay. So long as you are on the same side with them. On commitment, okay, I commit myself to see that Nairobi is left the way I left it, even at the aftermath of the elections.
Thank you so much. The African youth will be waiting to see your video tomorrow. So I'll come to you, the good doctor.
Can I share my video now because I can speak?
No, you have to record it and post it on your social media handles. And you know what to do. Tag the ESC Youth Ambassadors, tag the official account of this peace campaign, because we are also ensuring that the account is dedicated towards a peace campaign. I want to mention that this is going to be the first of its kind, but it will be replicated. It will be replicated in all campaigns. I've also shared the account name on the chat that we are using. So for those that are able to, just go and follow it, both on Facebook and Twitter. But now that we are concluding, we have received commitments from Omar and Yakub. Daniel, I want to know whether you can hear us.
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ah, Daniel is back. Daniel is back.
Finally.
Okay. Um, it's becoming tricky for me because when I am almost leaving, someone new comes in. But before we go on, I want to shout out to you, Ntamachiriro Levi. Levi is in Burundi, and Levi is speaking French. I want to say that my linguistic abilities limit me to understanding what you are saying, but we see you and we are glad that you are part of the conversation. Merci beaucoup. Daniel, because we are time spent, I will let you have a response to the question that you had before you left on how we can guarantee or how we can facilitate young people to understand or to decipher information shared on social media. That okay, this is how I verify this information before it triggers me into doing something regrettable. How do we guarantee that or
Yeah,
facilitate?
sure. Yeah, so I've just conducted a research on social media over time, and I've realized it's all about how we say things, not what we say, because it is what you say, it is how you say, not what you say, and that has been a big problem over time with the young people in Africa in terms of how they address issues online. And let me say this because social media has come in place and it is a big deal for us how we transform information across board, and it has come in both negative reasons and positive reasons, but I want to focus on the positive reasons because for me I communicate many a times through social media. That is why I campaign, that is how I communicate, that is how I interact with people across Africa and the world. This is a platform that has brought a lot of problems in Africa. It is as if we have failed to understand how to use social media, and this is a big platform that we can utilize as a continent and make sure that we chart our problems forward. So the issue of social media, in as much as we blame the wind, we must also blame the wind. So and that is exactly what I wanted to say about the social media. Going forward, I want to call upon all the social media users, kindly spread peace, encourage peace, call out peace to those in authority, to those who are seeking positions of leadership. Let them understand that what we want, because it is about what you want. So that is exactly what I wanted to address about social media.
All right. Thank you, Daniel. It was unfortunate that we did not have you for the better part of this conversation, but even the opportunities that you got to speak, just like Yakub, you guys have given us great insights on how young people can participate in peaceful elections. For those of us following us, we also want to appreciate Dr. Umar Mohamuza, who joined in to give his account when he ran as a guild president of a university in Bara. Yeah, that is in Western Uganda. Going forward, we are hopeful that all of you have registered for the One Young ESC for Kenya 22 launch. It is happening this Friday, and it is going to be a hybrid event with the hashtag Kenya ya Amani. And as we leave, I'm just going to ask Yakub and Daniel to just bid us farewell in their local languages, but when they are done, because that's the discipline here, we need to encourage diversity. We need to ensure that every young African can understand at least how to greet or how to bid farewell in a language that is not native to them. So you will tell us goodbye in your language, and you tell us which language that is. But after you are done, we shall collectively say, and I will count us down. We shall collectively say Kenya ya Amani. Daniel, I hope that's how it is pronounced.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, sure.
I knew my Swahili. My Swahili is on lock. So I will start with you, Jakub. You tell us the language you are going to bid us farewell in, and then you do it so that we can learn.
I will use the most popular one in my land. That is Luganda, from Buganda Kingdom. Mbagaliza emirembe era emirembe gisoboka, nsaba buli omu gy'ali asaasaanye emirembe.
How would you loosely translate that?
I wish you peace, and I believe peace is possible, and I pray everyone, wherever they are, you move peace.
Thank you so much. Daniel?
Yeah, before I bid farewell, Sebastian, I'm at the very heart of political dispensation in my locality right now, and I know those who subscribe to what I believe in are watching right now in this area and across Africa. I want to call them to order and ask them to elect leaders, not dealers. I want them to elect their future, not retrogressive political dispensation as it has been over time. I want to ask them to redefine what they want and come out in large numbers and send those people who believe that politics or political leadership is a privilege to better the lives of others. So just that's a general message to them and to the whole of this country as we approach elections on August 9th. And I want to wish my good friend Honorable John Parrott all the best in his bid for Kajiado South parliamentary seat. And I know he's watching, he's my boss, and he is the man that will spear this constituency forward. Now, asanteni sana. I will want to use Kiswahili because that's what that's my local language, and of
And
course
we only have one language in Kenya.
asanteni sana kwa kuungana nasi, na najua na hata tunapoelekea kwa uchaguzi wa tarehe 9 Agosti tutahubiri amani, tutahubiri uongozi bora, si bora uongozi, na nafikiri kila mtu sasa anaelewa ni nini anahitaji after uchaguzi wa tarehe 9. Tafadhali mchunge ndugu yako, mchunge dada yako, na uhakikishe kwamba sisi wote tunamaliza uchaguzi wa tarehe 9 tukiwa ndugu na dada kama tulivyoanza. Asanteni sana na Mungu awabariki.
Hey. Okay, thank you so much, both of you, and thank you for joining us today. I need to point out that your backgrounds have been quite interesting. Jakub, who definitely has his poster framed in the house, and you, Daniel, who is a lover of Disney, and I think Queen Frozen does it
That
for
is
you.
Sophia the First.
Yes, but in solidarity, I just want us, I'm counting us down, and hopefully I'll be able to cut this out and also be able to share it on my social media, where we say collectively that Kenya ya Amani. So in 3, 2, 1.
Kenya ya Amani.
Kenya ya Amani. Yes, it should be like that. Thank you so much, and thank you, Africa. We can't wait to have you for the launch of the One Young EAC for Kenya 22. And if you want to be part of the conversations, just get your phone, put it in landscape, or even, in portrait. take a video of yourself, send a message of solidarity to the young people in Kenya, encourage them to be as peaceful as they can, and let's make sure that we drive the peaceful agenda forward. From me, from the ES Youth Ambassadors platform,
Daniel, you realize that Sebastian has no internet right now because
I almost
we
thought it.
contaminated him. But you can conclude his remarks for the rest of Africa.
Yeah, so thank you so much. I know Sebastian has got hitches on his internet, and it's good that we are now sailing on the same boat. However, thank you so much, Africa, for watching the ESC Youth Pulse check-in today, hosted by my good friend Ambassador Sebastian. And it's always a pleasure to have you around. And my name is Daniel Njuguna. Until next time, I know tomorrow Ambassador will be right here again, and kindly walk with us in peace as we approach Kenyan elections on 9th August this year. Kenya ya amani na Mungu awabariki sana.
Kenya ya amani.
Yeah.